I usually forget about that regarding. Anyway, let us continue with that. In the last, where is it? Okay. Now, in the last few classes, we have started with the HTML, talked about how content can be represented. We have seen the images tag as well as the hyperlink and list as well as the table tag. Now let us move further with the, we have two things left now. One is the HTML forms or the input controls, what we call, and the other thing is the HTML with the CSS. Now here, actually, we will take up the HTML. I thought of taking HTML forms today's class, but we need a 2 hours class for that. So, I mean, look at different things and then experiment with different tags. So what we will do is we will start up with the HTML with CSS. So in this session, we will look at how HTML and CSS or how CSS can be used with the HTML. Now, we will, CSS is actually a cascading style sheet. Now here, the purpose or what we say, why we use CSS is we want to style or style the presentation. Now, this styling of the presentation and all, we have looked at a tag called as bold. We have also looked at the tag which is known as I italics, header tags. We have looked. Using these tags, we could, I mean, have a look and feel and have a style for the for our HTML what is presented. But there are several other things that can also be done using the cascading or CSS or cascading style sheets. Now, the basic HTML tags do not provide much of the facility or flexibility of styling the text or the content. So we use HTML in conjunction with this CSS. So it's, I mean, obviously even HTML is a, I mean, your presentation, how you present the content to the user on a web page. But CSS, I mean, using CSS, you can specify a part of a web page to be presented in such and such format. So that is what, let us move along with the CSS along with the HTML. Now, remember, CSS is not separate, something different from HTML. CSS is used, you cannot individually use CSS, cascading style sheet. You have to use CSS with the HTML. So let us take our, let me create a new, okay, let us take the same index itself, index file itself. Let me open this in a, this we had the tables. I'm going to remove tables from here. So let us just, I mean, I'm removing the div tag also. Let us have the h1 tag over here. And let me have some content. Let us use para tag, p, and some content. Let us say, this is, oh, okay, I'll do one thing. I'll copy that. So where was that lorem ipsum? Somewhere over here, I suppose. Yeah. I'll just copy these things. Okay. Just let me copy this. Now we have a large content. Let us save this. Just let us save this, and we will. Okay, not this one. Index page. So this is our content. Now what we will do is we will try to use the basic. Let's look at the basic basics of how to use the CSS. So here what I have is, if you look at this part of the text, I have one whole para within one paragraph, and then we have the other part of the text and another paragraph. These two are completely different paras. Now, we will try to format this paragraph using cascading style sheet. So let us look at the basics first, how it is done. Now, there are actually there are three ways, different ways of using cascading style sheets. One is the inline, the other one is the internal, and the third one is the external. Now, we will look into the difference of all these things. First, let us start with the inline part. Inline. Now, let us take this paragraph, opening of the para, and we have some content in this tag, that is opening paragraph and closing paragraph. Now, let us try to say that I want to give some style as a color there. So what I will do is, within this para tag, I'll use style equal to, this is an attribute. Style is an attribute. Within this, this para and the style attribute, we will specify the color for this text. So let us say we have color, colon, and blue. We will come back to this format, why colon is used, what is the purpose of colon, and why we are having style, so and so. So this is an attribute style. With that, I'm assigning a value blue, that is the color value, for this para tag. So now, this formatting of blue color will only work for this para tag, between this open para and close. It will not work for this. Now, in the same way, I can assign something, let's say for H1 tag, let me assign the style. Let us use the basic style of color itself so that we can have clear understanding. Let's say color red. I'll say red color. So this is the header tag for sample text 1. Now what I'll do is, I'll just copy this and I'll paste it over here. So this is, let's say, sample text 2. And let me give the color as green. Different color, green. Let us save this and we will look at the output. Now you can find that this part of the text is within para tag, as well as this part of the text is also within para tag, p tags, para tags. Over here you can find this is the para tag, this is the other para tag. But we had used the style, that is the cascading style sheet, one of the ways of using cascading style sheet, as within the tag itself, we had used a attribute as style and assigned the color as blue. So this color formatting or styling will only apply to the first para. Then we also use some red as the color for header tag. So it is only getting applied to this header part. As well as we have a second header, that is, this is sample text 2, and here we applied the green color, a different style. So you can find that this is this part of header text is in a different color. So this styling, this type of styling, or this type of using the CSS in this style, way, this is known as inline styles. This is known as inline styles. Now, why is it known as inline? Because within the tag itself, we are providing the styles. Within tag itself, we are providing the styles here. Now, there are other, we have just seen the color part, the color property of styling. There are other properties also. We have just seen the color property. Now, suppose if I want the font style to be bold, this para, which is in blue color, I'm specifying. Apart from blue, I also want the text, whatever given here, in bold color. Not color, sorry, in bold, in bold. So I can use B over here, and then before ending, I can close this bold tag, B tag. Let us save this. So the whole text, the content has become in bold. It's blue, obviously, because para tag is defined as blue. But this content has become in blue. Apart from this, now what is happening here is I need to open and close the bold tag. Instead of that, within the same style attribute, remember, it's the same style attribute. Within the same style attribute, we had a style of color as blue. Within this, I can also provide bold. But I cannot use B tag. There is something else. So if you have multiple styles, if you are using multiple styles within inline, multiple styles within inline, you will have only one style attribute. But within this double quotes, you can have multiple styles. You can assign multiple styles separated by semicolon. Just like in programming language, you separate the lines of code using semicolon. The same way, the styles can also be separated using semicolon. So we will use semicolon here. Remember, this is colon. This is colon. This is semicolon. So you can use a semicolon, and after semicolon, I want to make it as bold. So I will have something known as found hyphen style. Found hyphen style, and obviously its value will be specified using a colon. So colon. Then we will have the style. Let us call it as bold. It's okay. Sorry, bold. Let us say bold. So this style has two properties now. One is the color, which is of blue, and the other property is the style. So let us now save this, and we will just refresh it. There is some problem with the font style bold. It's not. Okay, there's a problem with the style. I think there is something else over here. Let us come back later for this one. But let me use family, found family, and found family. Let me give it as let's say Vardhana. Let us look at whether this works. So let me save this and refresh it. Yeah, this one is working. So I think there is, I'll just let you know what is that found style, how it, I mean, that bold part. But there is another property here, found family. So this found family, if you see, we have specified this as Vardhana found, which I mean, obviously, if you have Word, you would be able to use any other found. So here you can find that this paragraph is in different found, and this paragraph is in different found. So this way, we can use multiple, what do we say? We can use multiple styles for formatting a text. Now, this style is not only on a paragraph. It can also be applied even on header, any style, any attribute to the style. So I'll just use this and apply, save it and refresh it. This also becomes, I mean, the font of this also changes. So we can have multiple properties for the styles or multiple styles. So this is what is about inline CSS. Now what happens is, suppose in the entire web page, I want to use the same font, that is Vardhana. So what happens is, I mean, here we have only two H1 header tags, two para tags, but you might have a large content with different tags there. So everywhere I cannot use style and then provide this font family Vardhana for each and every tag. That will be, I mean, it will be a redundant work. For example, here I want this para to be blue as well as in this Vardhana font. So I'll be using the same style. And for every paragraph, assume that every paragraph I need it in the same style. So what happens is I need to now, I mean, even this has become this the second para also has become in the same text, same font. So what I need to do is I have to now change, use the styling everywhere wherever I will have para tags. So that will be a very cumbersome process. So we will be using something known as internal CSS. We can use something known as internal CSS or external CSS, wherein we can specify that this tag will be used for this type of format. So and so tag will be used for so and so type of formatting. So what happens is wherever you use that tag, the entire content, wherever that tag is used, that content will be in in the format how we have specified. So, but before moving to this external CSS, let us look at some of the terminology that we are using. Now, let us start from the basics here. Here, we used p tag to provide the styles or for styling. This tag is known as a selector. So for this styling, this type of styling, para tag is the selector or p tag is the selector. Now for this this styling, h1 tag is the selector. So to whichever tag we apply apply the styles CSS, that tag is known as a selector. Then the properties of this selector has to be defined. Properties has to be defined the same way how we define how we use attributes for different tags. For example, source tag, image tag is there, img tag. Using the img tag, when we use img tag, we use an attribute as source. The same way, when a tag becomes a selector, when we select a tag for styling, we need to provide the properties for those styles. So when we provide the properties, the style of that tag changes. The style of that tag changes. Now, the property. This is the property. Sorry, this is the property. Color is the property. Font family is the property. So the entire whatever we have seen till now, we have seen only two properties. And the value of this property, that is the value of property color, is red. Value of property font family is Vardhana. And over here, the value of this, the property, the value of property color is blue. So this is the terminology used. That is, the tag becomes a selector, and you need to define now the properties for that selector, that the way it is styled, and that properties are nothing but in inline CSS. We can define the properties using the style attribute equal to, and within double quotes, we will have the property name and then its value. If we have multiple properties, we will separate that with the semicolon. So that is the terminology. Now let us come to the inline CSS, external CSS. Now, as I told you, if both the paras I want to have the same type of styling. So instead of repeating the styles as inline, I will be using the internal CSS. Now, internal CSS is written, actually it can be written anywhere, but usually it is written within the head section. Within the head section, because you define it at the beginning of the class. Define it at the beginning of the web page itself. So within the head section, we need to use a tag. Like we use the property, the attribute as style. The same way, there is a tag known as style itself. The tag itself is style. Now, this style tag has a property known as type. And this type property, we need to specify what is the type. It is of text slash, and that text represents CSS. So we will open this style tag. We will close the style tag here. I'll just close the style tag here. So this style tag, when we open it, we uses an attribute as style with the value telling that whatever within the style will be of text, and that text is of the type CSS for cascading styles. Now within this style, within these style tags, we will define the inline CSS. Now we need, what do we need? We need here we have here what we have is we have the style for H1 different over here, and H1 different in the second H1 we have a different style, but we do have a common style for paragraph. So what we need is here P is the selector. It's the selector to which we are providing the styles. So we will use selector, that is we need to use P space, and then we need to open the curly brackets and close the curly brackets. I'm closing it here. We need to open the curly brackets and close the curly brackets. Now, this is just like a definition of a body, opening in the curly and closing the curly brackets, like your for statement, while loop, if statement, that way. Now, this is known as declaration. That means we are declaring the style for para tag, that is the selector. Now, within this curly brackets, we will define the properties. What was the property? These were the properties. Now, I'll just copy and paste it here. Now, suppose if I have only one property, I will define it this way. If I have multiple properties, then I will define them on different lines. So here para tag has got multiple properties. That is, one property is the color, which is blue. Then the second property after semicolon is the font family. So this is how we define inline CSS. I can have other properties also. Line by line we can define it. Now, this is the declaration, like from curly brackets to closing curly brackets, and this declaration is nothing but for tag, that's the selector, which is para tag. So here, now what we can do, we can remove the styling from here, from this para tag what we are using, as well as from here we can remove the styling. So what we did right now, in the earlier part was define the styles for para tag as an internal as an inline CSS. Now here we had defined it as an internal CSS. So in the web page, wherever you will find para tag, this property will be used. There are two properties here. These properties will be used for formatting or styling. Let us refresh this. You can find no change because that's what has been defined there. Now let me flexibility of inline CSS is that suppose I want this color, let's say gray. I can change it at one place and it will be reflected in the entire web page, whatever I'm using. If we use if we use inline CSS, at every place I have to change that color. The same way, let us use some other thing for the font family. Let us do this. What I'll do is I'll just open a Word file. There is no Word file here. Okay, anyway, we can look at the year itself. Font. Now, let's say Consolas. This is the font. CONSOLAS. So let me use this font over here. It's not Mardana. I'm using this font. Let us save this file, refresh it. You can find that this entire web page is, changes with that font. So that is the flexibility in inline, that at one place if you change it, it will be reflected different places. Now let us use another. Let's say I'm having another multiple property font like say size. Let's say size, font size. This font size, let us take it as a smaller font size. Let's say 10 points, PT for points. 10 points, and I'm using semicolon. We let us end every statement with the every property with the semicolon itself. Font size as 0.10, 10 point. Let me save this and refresh it. You can find that the font size has changed. So along with the multiple attributes, along with the multiple styling, that is the text style is Consolas, and then the color is gray. Now remember one thing before we proceed further with the external CSS. The color property. Remember the property color, font family, font size, as well as something we have seen which did not work was that font style something. Font style. All these are defined properties. For example, I cannot use my name as a property and assign the color as blue. This will not work. Let's say Sayyid colon, I'll just say black. This doesn't work because there is no property defined. So always remember that these are the properties which are defined, and there are so many properties. There are so many properties in CSS. These are defined, as well as the value which the property takes corresponding to the property is also defined. So I can't say that gray I'll use in font size. I cannot use gray over here because font size property will not take colors. It takes only the value in terms of points, how the font sizes are defined. So remember, we need to use a value corresponding to the property we are using in CSS. And the properties in CSS are also defined. It's not that we can use whatever property we feel like. They are defined properties. Though there are so many properties, but they are defined. Now, in the same way, let us try to change H1. Not change, actually define H1 as a different properties. Let us also define properties for this H1 tag. So the selector is H1 space within curly brackets. Let's close curly brackets here, and within this curly brackets, let us try to have what was the style over here? Same style. Let's say color equal to red. Color equal to red. And instead of using the style attribute over here, I'll just remove everything. As well as in this head tag also, I can remove. Let me save this. and refresh. You can find that this header also has, as well as this header is also in the same style. That is red color with, there is no other property there defined there. So this is only one property. Now, if you see header wants to be defined, para wants, so we can have multiple selectors or multiple tags for which we can define styling. So what you can find over here is you have the para tag, and we have defined for h1. Now this para and h1, uh, uh, there might be so many other tags also which we can define. But this para and h1, if you look at these two things, what you can find is wherever in the web page, when you're using para tag and h1 tag, the style will be of the same. The display will be of the same type. Suppose if I want this h1, that is this is sample text 2, of a different style, different color itself, then what do I do? There are several other ways also, but I will use style. Inline, this is inline, let's look at. Then here I'll just say color, colon, let me say green. Let us save this and refresh it. So now you can find that though we have defined the h1 tag to have the color red. So everywhere in the web page, wherever you have h1 tag, it will be of the color as red. Even here it will be color as red. But what we did is, using the inline, we have overridden the base property. That is, instead of h1 having color as red, we have used the inline CSS. We use the inline CSS and we have overridden this property. So we can, it's not a hard and fast rule that if we use inline CSS, we cannot use internal CSS. Or if we are using internal CSS, we cannot use inline CSS. It's not that, there's no such type of a rule or a condition. We can use internal, external, as well as inline CSS together. So as you have seen here, we had already defined this, so it will work globally to the entire web page that h1 tag will have this property as color as red. But if I want to change that property, I can use an inline CSS and override the existing definition of the style for h1 tag. That is the selector, h1 selector. So remember this, we can use this way as well. Then though there's one more way which we will look in the coming what do you call as we move forward. Then now we will look at the third type, that is external CSS or external styles. Now what is happening here is we have defined it only for two tags or two selectors, that is P and H1. Now there may be several styles which we may define for example, horizontal rule we may define for what H2 tag should look like, what H3 tag should look like. Then we may define a border, and for images, margins. For tables, we may define certain style. So what happens is this entire thing, that is the styles, the selectors with different properties in the styles tag will be very what you call. I mean, very large. I mean, the style itself will become. There will be a lot of text here. You can just see for defining three properties, we needed 3 lines. So what usually, I mean, the web developers do is they want to separate the style or the CSS from the HTML page. So we can use an external file. That is, obviously, we have to save that file with the name as .css. And inside that file, they will define several, obviously use the selector tags and define the properties. So what we will do is, what we are going to do is, let us create a file. Let me, this is the notepad. Let me save this, save as. Let us call this as my styles. My styles. Let us say my styles dot CSS. The extension should be CSS, obviously, because the CSS file. So let me create this file. So I suppose here I have my style CSS files. I'm right-clicking it and opening in the notepad. Now what I'll do is I'll copy this entire content. What I have defined here, into this CSS. Now here remember that we are not using any tags here. Script tag, it doesn't start with script tag. This external CSS file will contain only the selector with its declaration and the properties. It will not contain the script tag. We will not have this tag. We will not have this script tag. We will not have this tag. It's not an HTML. This file doesn't understand tags. It only understands that there is a selector. And let me format it this way, because I have just given tabs there to nest it according to the HTML tags. So we will only define the selectors or the tags and its properties within the declarations. So here I have these things I have defined. Let us change this color to, let's say, what? Let's make it as blue. I'm just saving this so that we can have a, the format as a different way. So I have changed this. Let me save this one. And then from this web page, we will remove these because we have already written that in the external. Then here, we have to use a style tag. We have to use the style tag. Sorry, not style tag. We need to use a link tag. So it will start with link. And then what is the link to this for? So there is an attribute as rel. And here we need to specify it's for style sheet. The cascading style sheet. So it's for the style sheet. Then as we specified the type, we need to specify the same type. That is, it is text /CSS. Same thing. And last thing is we need to use href equal to within quotes, within double quotes. We will provide the name of the file. That is, I think my and S was in capital, styles.css. This is the name of the file we will provide, / and we will close this tab. So what we did is, instead of having the styles written within the web page, we have separated them in a different web page. And then we are calling that page, that cascading style sheet over here. That is styles.css, what we have. And let me save this file also, index. And let us, where is it? Okay, yeah. Let me refresh this. You can find that the text, what happened here? This has become black. This, what did we do? I made it as blue. Why is it not? I made this style as blue, and I am calling this my. Let me just check whether the my styles. It's styles. Sorry, the spelling, there was a spelling mistake here. I used S. Think it's styles. The name is styles, so I mistyped it. So let me save this. Now let me refresh this part. So you can find that the content earlier was in gray, now it's in blue, and the style sheet what we are using, the type is the external style sheet, and whatever things or conditions are valid for inline or internal CSS, the same thing is valid for valid for the external CSS. That is, if you have multiple properties, then we need to use semicolon and define it. We can define multiple properties. So here what happens is, this is a much better way. You can find that we do not have any CSS over here, styling part over here, which separates our actual content with how we try to style it and present it. That is using the CSS part, that is this CSS file. So this way we can use the external CSS. Now there is a huge library of what we say the properties of the what properties we can use in the this part, what do we call the style sheets or CSS, and so that there is a compendium of those properties there. So that can be found on the web, and as well as what is happening is a day by day there is a change. The new style, a new property comes up, and that gets reflected. Anyway, I'll have a list of the complete thing. What all properties are there for the CSS? I'll just create a list of that so that it will help you in trying to style the web pages. So anyway, these are the three different types of CSS or styles we can use CSS in. Generally, the local CSS is, we say, as inline CSS, which is locally used to define the style for a particular tag. But suppose if you want a style to be reflected for a tag, which we say selector for the tag, to be reflected throughout the web page, then we can use internal CSS. And then the third thing is the external CSS. That is, if you want to separate the CSS from the HTML part, we can use external CSS and then call that CSS within the HTML using the link tag. The other advantage of using external CSS is that your website may not just have a single page. It may have several pages. And what we need is, we need a uniform style throughout the website. A uniform style throughout the website. So we can create one external CSS instead of having several style tags and different HTML pages for internal CSS. We can just create a single external CSS and then include that CSS in every other web page we create. And the other advantage is that if we change that, change a property in one obviously in external CSS, we need to change it at only one place, which will be reflected throughout your website. Now, what more we have is, if you remember in the last class, when we were looking at the tables tag, I said that table tag is used to format the whole web page into rows and columns. But we also discussed that table tag is discouraged. It's not used anymore because of the web pages are now need to be viewed on its mobile phones. That is, the different browsers, they need to be viewed or viewed on browsers of different size. So using table tag is discouraged, and I said that there is a tag known as div tag, which is for division. div tag which divides the HTML page into sections. So I think it's 12 already. What is the time? 12:58 something, 56 something is there. We don't have time to cover that. So anyways, in the next class, we will look at the div tag, that is the division tag. Apart from the div tag, we will also look at another tag known as the span tag. These are the two things we need to look in this, that is the HTML with CSS, or how CSS is used with HTML. So these two things is left out, that is div tag and the span tag. Now remember, this div tag and span tag are not part of CSS. They are tags, as the name suggests. They are tags. So these are used in HTML, but the properties of these tags is defined using CSS. So don't get confused. Div and span tag is not CSS. They are part of HTML, but we can use CSS and define the properties of these two tags and how they are used and how they are styled. So this was the thing with the CSS. And okay, any questions? I have so many chat messages. Let me look. Let me just see whether there is any questions or only roll numbers. Oh, there are no questions. There are no questions. Only roll numbers. Anyway, let us take up some of the questions if you have before we conclude this class. Any questions? Anyone? Any questions? Sorry? I'm asking questions. Somebody is typing this roll number. Okay. Are you people still bothered about attendance? Even in the online classes? Anyways, any question? Oh. See, why we are not having any questions? There are only two possibilities over here. Either you know everything, or you are not understanding anything. There may be only two possibilities. It's highly not possible that whatever I am teaching, everything you are understanding. Is it possible? For any lecturer, it will not be possible. They will be having some doubt. So I don't think, I mean, I'm not able to get it because even last class also we did not have any questions. But prior to that, we were having questions. A lot of questions we were having. But I don't know why since last two classes we are not having any questions. I mean, it cannot be possible that whatever I'm saying, everything you are understanding. You may need to have some doubts, or you may be knowing everything. There are two things. Or you may not be understanding anything what I'm teaching. Is it so? Anyone reply? Oh, no, sir. Okay, fine. No, sir, it's just we are quite familiar with HTML. Okay, no problem. That's fine. That's fine and good. But remember that you may be no. I was having an idea about this because everyone. What happens is, I mean, it may not have been a part of your curriculum and all. You may be out of your curiosity and out of, I mean, the ambition of learning different languages, especially the web page. You may have already known about these things. But remember one thing, it's very different trying to participate in some hackathons to design a web page and know about HTML, CSS, and the other things, or even JavaScript and all. But it's quite different to write it down on a paper. I'm talking about exams and the other things. So it's quite different to write it down on a paper, or just for reminding, you may be knowing HTML, CSS, but you also have to, develop the habit of not copying and pasting the tags, but develop the habit of doing yourself. So this is what we have for the. So this is what we have for today's class. So let us, if there is no questions, let us conclude. Anyway, thank you very much. Can I conclude this class? Oh, yes, 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 I will do. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. Not notes. I don't have a complete handwritten notes as maybe there for the other subjects, but I do have some documents which what do you call, lists all the all these things for your reference. Anyway, I'll do that. I'll do that. So anyway, can I leave the class? There is a question, sir. When can we have WhatsApp group and Google Classroom? Google Classroom, you will have it. You will have Google Classroom. But what is this WhatsApp group? We already have a WhatsApp group for your batch section where I post every day. Not every day, where the message is posted. So we will not have a separate WhatsApp group for this class. We will just have a classroom. So you may be having my number. So if you have any questions and such things, just try to send a personal WhatsApp message instead of posting in a group. I can answer you back. Okay then. So just let me leave this class. Actually, I stopped. I need to stop recording.